the video up. What's up?
Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle, we unite and tripping orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Now who gotta move rockin' on? Now who wanna move crossing on? Now who wanna move out on? If you got stripes, then you let the city know you rock 'em. There we go.
Welcome to Porkchopolis.
Yeah. Welcome to Porkchopolis, where population 15 cats. And I'm the mayor. Go ahead.
You are the mayor of Porkchopolis.
Yeah, but don't worry. These cats have voting rights, so they do vote.
We are waiting on Hobson to join in. Greg sent him the link a little bit ago. Hopefully he gets that and everything goes. I guess it'd be a good time to plug the draft guide. Should be released either late tonight or tomorrow. I know there's 10 people that already sent me DMs with their email, Greg being one of those. Email and a donation between $1 and $5, Project Game Day Venmo. Send me that. Send your email. Make sure you send a condensed version out to everybody already while we're waiting on the final one. So I'll send more of those out tomorrow and potentially the final document out tomorrow as well.
And most importantly, Matt Walker messaged me. He got his gift card. I didn't screw this up.
Finally. About time, Greg.
Oh, look what we got here.
Oh, Anthony.
We have Geoff Hobson, but he is a black screen right now.
Yep.
There he is.
There he is.
What's up, man?
Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, Jeff.
How you doing? I could have a 50 West beer, I guess.
There you go.
There we go. Proud sponsor of the show.
Yeah. Although I have to go for a growler. I have to go for a Narragansett growler.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Man, you stop down to lot 1 before the games, we'll fill you right full of 50 West beer.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've got to be a little bit on point.
Responsibilities, I understand.
Right. I hate that. I hate
I don't like it. Yeah. It's terrible.
So offseason is upon us. We've got free agency starting next week. The combine just ended. Let's start with Joe Mixon. Been a hot topic basically for 2 seasons now. Restructured last year. Got a roster bonus coming up here. Not next week when free agency starts, but the following week. There's some reports out there that he could be cut. I think it was Matthew Berry just recently, but who knows how legit things like that are. What are your thoughts on Mixon? I don't see a pay cut. I think they either keep him at the salary, he gets his bonus, and he gets his $8.5 million, or a cut to me. But just what are your overall thoughts? He's been a great guy, great leader here for sure.
Yeah, there's no question. Here's a guy who threw a touchdown pass in a Super Bowl. He had a 5-touchdown game, still the record. The run that sticks with me, and it just because it happened when he shrugged off Ivan Pace Jr. in the on the 1 yard line on 4th and 1, or else the season's over. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's I guess it could go a number of different ways. Maybe I guess the $3 million kicks in March 18th. Which is next week, but free agency begins a couple days before that. So do we get an answer then? Do they make another move? It's like I say, they could go a bunch of different ways. And I know the analytics say, well, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, he doesn't, he doesn't break long ones, he's not explosive, and they get all these analytics that spit that all out. But they better get somebody who replaces what he does. And what he does is he doesn't fumble. He doesn't fumble, and if you need 4 yards, you usually get your 4 yards. Now, they've had trouble on short yardage. I'm not sure that's all Joe's fault, though. But, like I say, be careful what you wish for, or you don't know what you got till it's gone, So
right.
It's still to be played out.
We got a request here from Crypt Keeper. He just wants to hear you say Jamar.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. I'm sorry. What's that guy's name?
Crypt Keeper is his name on here.
Yeah.
Who knows? Mysterious man.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Crypt. Thanks very much. I'll give you a Jamar. It's the first one in a while, but I guess I got to start getting into shape here. They're going to show up mid-April or so. So I gotta start warming up, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can get a smile out of Burrow. So
Exactly.
You got to do it.
So, Geoff, tight end situation. Obviously, Irv Smith, I obviously didn't work out. Tanner Hudson did a great job. My question to you is, what do they do at tight end? Two former Bengal tight ends, C.J. Uzomah and Hayden Hurst, both got released. Do you see one of them coming back to Cincinnati, or do you think they'll stick with Hudson and Sample, or do you think they'll draft someone? What do you think they will do at tight end?
Well, again, that's another thing. I mean, none of those guys are under contract. So talk about a fluid situation. I would think, you'd have to talk to a guy like Hurst, right? I would imagine he's out there. He was just here. He was terrific when he was here. How healthy is he? I think they probably got to look at that. You get nicked up a little bit, but I don't. That's probably a to be continued. I would think. It would seem to be a good fit. I know they love Hudson too. They love Hudson and Sample. Remember, Sample was the second guy that Zach drafted, and he's a blocker, and you need him. He's a blocker, and so you got to feel like you need him. And I think Hudson has got a really good rapport with Burrow. Burrow's been talking about him for a year. He had a great. They hooked up in. They didn't hook up in camp, but they had late in the year, late in practice and stuff like that, and during the spring. So he likes Hudson. So I would think I would think Hudson and Sample are going to be back here in some form. I would think, but I think that's Hurst. Seeing Hurst's name out there is interesting.
Yeah, and Carolina is apparently going to still be paying him over $5.5 million for this season. So
Right.
We're talking a guy that could come in on the very cheap, wanting to return. I don't want to say too. I know that the family or kind of people through the grapevine had said, he would definitely be interested in coming back to the Bengals, and it seems like his health is on the right track. No setbacks. He's been working out for months, from everything I've heard.
Yeah, that's why they didn't trade him, because they had that. They've got that $5 million in there. That's why they didn't trade for him.
Yeah. And now you may get him on a vet minimum, so it could work out pretty well. Nick Scott, that's another guy. Do you see him being a Bengal next year? And even if he is or isn't, do you think they dip their toe into what looks like a pretty good free agent market at safety?
Yeah, I think I love Nick Scott. I think he's what the league's all about. 7th rounder from Penn State, really smart guy. Could be doing, I don't know, whatever he's going to do, he's going to be successful at. He's one of those guys. But the move to Jordan Battle, halfway through the year kind of tells you what they're thinking. I just don't know. The whole Dax Hill thing. I got to tell you, fellas, can we just back up just a little bit? I mean, I get it. They're talking about moving his position, maybe I call it a 21st century, Chris Crocker, perhaps, a hybrid guy. But I thought he had a good. Yes, I know he had a couple of some highly visible screw ups, But it's the first time he's played the position in the NFL. He played every snap. He was very productive.
Very productive. His production jumped out looking back at the safeties, like once the season ended.
Yeah, he's physical. He can range. He's got good range in the middle of the field. I think he just needs reps. So, what they do with Nick Scott or what they don't do with Nick Scott, do they go after a veteran? I guess those things are all on the table. But I would say don't sell Dax Hill short as a safety, because I think he had a. I'll leave you with this. He had a better first year at safety than Jesse Bates had as a rookie, and Jesse Bates a hell of a player. So I would like I say, cool the Jets on to the Twitter sphere on that. But
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think he's still going to be a big part of this team. It's just, as they kind of mentioned, where do they best see him? His best spot on the field, moving him around. So, I mean, there may be room depending on what they want to do with Nick Scott, but definitely don't give up on Dax Hill. I agree.
No, I think he's I think he could be a Pro Bowl safety, but
it was the first year of really playing a position too.
Yeah, right. I mean, he was basically played nickel. I guess in Michigan, right? So, this is really the first big diet of safety he's had in his life.
So our buddy Joe here with a super chat. Thank you, sir, for $5, basically $4.99. We'll count it as $5.
Yeah.
How much is Mike Brown involved in the day-to-day personnel decisions compared to years past? How do you see that evolving as he ages? I know the girls, the granddaughters have been very involved with a lot of different things, but just the day-to-day, I'm sure Mike's still pretty involved, but have you noticed any kind of difference here in the past few years or anything?
No, he's very involved. I mean, you got guys like in free agency, the point man, Steve Radisvik, the head of pro scouting, Duke Tobin, the director of player personnel. They're obviously, they're the point men in free agency, but, Mike's got to sign off, Mike and Katie, Katie obviously has to sign off. She's running the cap. But Mike, Mike's still making a final call, and he's very involved. I mean, you sit in his office, he's running down to free agents. He's looking at the depth chart. I mean, this guy's, my God, he could run. I mean, he could run for president.
Man, you got. I'm not touching that one. Nope, I'm just going to stay away from it.
No, I was just noting there's like 2 80-year-olds that are hungry.
Yeah, 100%. But Mr. Hobson here from Tyler Bowles, who would you like to see at pick 18? Give us a few names. Hard to just give one. So maybe a few names or positions that you think would be on the board.
Well, that's a great one, Tyler. I think I'm kind of it's going to be a big man. I think. I really think the bigger the better in the first round. I think, and I really like the defensive tackle from Texas. He seems to hit all the things you want. I don't know.
Murphy, because there's two of them. The Sweat's the bigger guy, but I think Murphy's
I don't think Sweat worries me.
Yeah,
Sweat worries me. He's. I mean, I'm not exactly twiggy, but that's anytime you get a guy who might have a weight problem, I think you got to err on the side of probably think about it. But I think in the first round, and I think Sweat's a second rounder anyway.
Yeah, at the earliest, honestly.
But I wouldn't go near him. But I think but he could have a hell of a career too. He could be one of those guys, But I think I like you got to do something on the defense. If you don't do anything in free agency with defensive tackle, if you can't re-sign DJ Reader, and the defensive tackles run out faster than the offensive tackles. So if you can get a guy there, but in the mocks I've been seeing since the combine, he's gone at 13, 14.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of tackle. I think the one promising thing is that it looks like there's going to be a tackle there that can play. I mean, I don't think they're good. I don't think and I don't know what they've got on the board. Who knows? They may only think 3 can go before 18. I don't know what they're thinking. But if you believe the mocks and everything like that, there's 6 or 7 guys that could play for you, and so there's not going to be 6 or 7 guys go before 18. So I was kind of rooting for the wide receivers to run big, and I was hoping that the Bo Nix kid would really throw the crap out of it. Get another quarterback taken, get a 9 wide receiver taken, get another corner taken, and that's my prayers were answered when Wiggins from Clemson ran the 4.28, so he might be out of there, and then the LSU wide receiver. I think it's Thomas. Is that right?
Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr.
Thomas Jr. I mean, looks like he may go now. He may be 4 receivers may go now. So that's just more big guys for the picking.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also high on Johnny Newton. So if the Texas kid is off the board and we do go D tackle, I've been high on Newton this whole time. He's going to be a good one too. So I wouldn't rule him out. But the offensive tackles, you always hear that knock. The Bengals don't have athletic offensive linemen. I mean, there's no choice but to take one pretty much the way these guys tested. They're all.
I know these guys are unbelievable. Now, can they block? That's that. I think they can. And that's the thing. Most of this stuff is, especially offensive linemen. 80% of it's tape. They don't care if this guy can. Believe me, Frank Pollock doesn't care if this guy can win a gold medal in the decathlon. He's not looking for that. He wants to look the guy in the face on Zoom and at his pro day, and he wants to look at that tape. And so, it's great. On one hand, this is great seeing how these guys tested, but and I think they also have good film. I mean, some of the guys though don't have a lot of snaps, which worries me. And I think in the way this club's drafted, really for the last 15 years or so, they put a big premium on experience in college. They love those guys that play 50 games, 45 games, and you see a lot of those guys now because of the COVID year, guys staying in with the NIL. So, some of those guys don't have that number, but I don't know if that's going to be a disqualifier because I think there's pretty good tape on them.
Yeah, Mims and Guyton are the two that kind of are light on the experience, but both of them have huge upsides, great athletes, but they may need some work. And Mims, I mean, he looks good on tape. It's just can he stay healthy?
Right.
We'll get back to offense.
Mims, I thought showed a little bit of toughness because didn't he? I'm thinking of Latham. Latham showed some toughness. He got hurt on the last play at a semi, right? The ankle against Michigan. But he was doing some stuff out there. He looked pretty good, even though he had still had the ankle a little bit. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut this guy off.
No, you're good, man. Hey, you cut anybody off you want. That's why you're our guest, and we're honored to have you. But
this is
Andrew
the same question I was going to ask right here.
Go ahead, Chop. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's funny that Andrew asked this question at the same time. I was going to ask you about like the biggest move so far in the offseason for the Bengals is franchise tagging T. Higgins. What do you think is going to happen with T as far as the franchise tag? Does he play on it? Do you think they still really work really hard to try to work out a contract or a possible trade? And if it's a trade, what do you think we get?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to trade him. I just don't think they're going to trade him. He's playing from what I can gather. I mean, that's they don't usually do that anyway. I mean, Duke said that at the combine. I've never done a tag and trade, so I don't think they're going to start with T. Higgins. Now, what's for the future? I think you have to wait to see how this free agency thing plays out. What's Jamai's situation? There's another Jamai. So
there you go.
There's I hate to say Chase because you might think I'm saying Chase Brown.
Yeah, but, it's true now.
Yeah. So I think that that's still to be played out. I think because there's so many other factors with that. I mean, they'd love to get those two guys locked up. I mean, but can you afford it? And then there's the other argument. Well, that's why you've got the high-end quarterback, the elite quarterback, because he could throw to you and me. And I'm not sure I buy that, because what separates the Bengals is the receivers are great. You know what I mean? So that's what separates them. And if you can keep them, that would be the. But you got a ton of other issues to look at too. So I think that's yet to be played out. I think he's playing. They're not going to trade him. I mean, unless they gave him something ridiculous, and it would have to be something ridiculous. But
that's what I thought too.
I just think that Burrow. Joe kind of said it early. I'm looking forward to having T. So Joe's a pretty good barometer for this stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of a mic drop when Joe Burrow says he's looking forward to having.
I would say that T's in the plans for at least 2024, and they'd love to get him for beyond. But like I say, let's see how the next 2-3 weeks plays out.
Yeah, I think to get him traded would probably be next year. I think it made it easier to. You'd never want to franchise tag a guy twice. The player hates it. The agent's going to hate it. Could create some problems. But they could do it and look at a trade next year because the way the cap went up, and the hit would end up being around $26 million for next year. And we're seeing guys getting that on an average annual value for their salary.
Yeah, I don't, but if you tag him twice, you're kind of advertising, I guess, that you're trading him, I guess. But it's interesting because all that stuff, that stuff could change with the draft too. Because who knows? You never know what happens in the draft. I mean, what if they do? What if they do get picked over a tackle, or what if there's a guy, they're in love with? I wouldn't rule out them drafting a receiver if there was one they really loved. Now I don't know if there is one there. Probably not. I don't know that. You got to figure that the people are in love with are going to be way gone before 18. The Harrisons and the kid from the other kid from LSU,
Malik Neighbors,
and right, and
Rome
he's from Washington, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So those three are probably going to be maybe you would if one of them was there at 18, but I can't see that happening. But like I say, I think
he's here this year.
I think that's one that might be on the and they have until July 15th to do something with him long term. So we'll have an answer before going into the season.
Yeah, Geoff.
Jeff, I have a question. So I know we talked about tight ends earlier in free agency, and it just doesn't seem like the Bengals in the past few years put a very high premium on tight ends because they're bringing them in for a year and they're getting rid of them. Some of them the fans like, and we really like to keep, like we talked about Hayden Hurst and CJ Uzama. But what about going into this draft? What about if Brock Bowers is there in the first round or Sanders in the second round? Do you think that we maybe finally put some respect on that tight end position and get one that can play for us for a few years?
There's only one way I think they take it, and that's if he's the best player on the board. If they deem him the best player on the board, the way they just don't use tight ends enough,
right,
to merit a pick like that, right? I mean, or to spend a lot of money on it. They're a base. I mean, they're an 11 team. They're a 3 receiver team. They don't use, I mean, now maybe could they get it? I mean, I just don't. I think they prefer to play that. But the thing is, that's dictated by the current personnel because you've got Higgins and you've got Chase, and you may not have Boyd, but you're still going to have some pretty good receivers there that you'd rather play 11 than anything else. But if that maybe that changes as the team evolves over the course of time. If maybe you don't, if you get picked off a receiver or something like that. But I think right now they, Higgins and Chase, I think they feel pretty good that they're a base 11 team, and I just think tight end is not an afterthought, but I don't see it as a real high priority.
Maybe like a third round or later, right?
I don't know. They haven't picked one. They haven't picked one in a while, right? When's the last sample, right? The second rounder, and he's a blocker. So,
right.
I don't know. It's a tough. In the second round, like in the third round, that's prime real estate. Is it?
I did hear last year that Kincaid would have been a pick in the first round if Buffalo hadn't taken him.
Right. I think there was they would have taken a guy, like I say, if the grades matched it, they would have taken him,
Nice.
But it didn't match up. And like I say, I don't know where Bowers is on the board. I have no idea. But if you're going to look at their needs, and as Paul Brown said, you draft for need, and don't let anybody tell you any different. And I think I think you do draft. You obviously grade who you think is, you take who you think is the best player, but part of that figured into the grade is what do you need, and it would look like a tackle on either side of the ball would certainly carry the day, I would think.
Yeah, Jeff. So we were talking offensive tackles. Do you see anybody in free agency like Tyron Smith or Illuminor? Because like Jonah Williams, I think somebody's going to overpay him or something. I just can't see Jonah Williams come back. Can you see somebody that where you don't have to take a right tackle at 18, or you could still take one, but could you see a guy like Tyron Smith or someone we could plug in free agency at right tackle?
It depends on depends on money, obviously, and look what they've done the last 2 years. Kappa and Karras inside. Last year, Orlando Brown outside. How often do they go to the well on this? I think they're looking for a right tackle to have for a while.
Right.
And this is a pretty. I think you could get one in the second round too. So it's a pretty deep class. So I'm not sure they go free agency and tackle. I'm not that would things happen. I didn't think they'd go for Orlando Brown either. Nobody did. So,
I don't think the Cincinnati Bengals didn't know, did they?
No. I mean, and who knows? Is there another scenario like that this year?
Probably Chris Jones.
They're in a situation where they do have guys coming to them because everybody wants to play with Burrow. This is a hell of a place to play. I mean, you guys have been to games here. The last, I'm working on a story now. The 9 of the biggest 10 crowds in Bengals history have been in the last 2 calendar years.
We've been there. We've probably been there at all.
We were there.
Starting with the Kansas City game, the Jamaica game against Kansas City, right? The one at the end.
I had COVID. Don't bring that one up. I had COVID. That one hurt.
I was at that game. Yeah.
The 21 game, yeah. And since then, I mean, 9 of the 10 biggest. So, this is a hell of a place to play. Guys see that. They know what Burrow brings to the table. They know what this team's done in the last 3 years. So, you never know what develops.
I thought here's a good question from our buddies Industries. Do they consider Chuck Sizzle to be Tyler Boyd's replacement? Could that still be a draft thing? And then, just kind of maybe Andre Osavash, who had a great season. Greg loves him some Andre Osavash. That was his guy before the draft.
I think we all do. I think that's Jones, I don't know. We'll see with Charlie. Charlie got banged up a little bit, during the season and early on in training camp, and so I think that he never really got. I don't think he ever really gets settled. I don't ever think we really, saw him. I think they see him as a guy that can play both because remember he led the country in receiving and he did that on the outside. So I feel like they think he can do both. Whether he's the replacement for. Boyd, I don't know. I mean, that's he's got a ways to go there. I mean, the replacement for Boyd may be right in front of you. It could be Jamar playing. Could be Jamar playing. Playing maybe instead of 30% inside, maybe he plays a little bit more. Not all the snaps inside, but can you imagine what he would do in a slot? I mean,
he would tear it up.
I mean, he would. He'd catch 130 balls a year. So. But I mean, you also like him on the outside too. But so I think I'm not sure they're going to hand that thing to Charlie. I think they like his ability. I think they like the fact that he can be a two-way guy, that he can play both outside and in the slot. He just needs to get the reps. He didn't get very many, and it's hard to get reps with those 3 guys, and you're a wide receiver. I mean, Yoshevich was kind of not lucky, but. He made the most of his opportunities with 4 touchdown catches because he didn't play a hell of a lot. So, but Charlie will probably get more of a shot this year. So, but he's got to, obviously, hope, he'll be healthier and obviously be able to show him what he's got. He's got a year under his belt. They always say the biggest jump for a player is between year 1 and year 2, and they'll be looking for Charlie to do that.
Do you think there's a scenario where they keep Boyd along with Higgins and Chase?
That's a tough number, probably. I mean, I think they'd like to do it, but I'm not sure that fits. I'm sure they've talked about it, and whether they make an actual run at him will be interesting to see. Because I mean, you just love the guy's intangibles and what he's meant to them down through the years. But we'll see where that's headed. That may be I don't know. I sure like to see him here rather than in Pittsburgh, which is what you keep reading.
Yeah, I seen something about the Jets, and it was like, please go there instead of Pittsburgh if you're going to leave.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the that would be a what if it's just I think the Boyd thing is you got to think about his age a little bit, although he does, I think he turns 30 in November. So that might be in the back of their mind too. But I mean, he just whenever the only time you notice him is when he drops one, and he's had a couple of big drops, but look at him down through the years and how many big catches he's made. But and you notice the drops because he just damn near usually doesn't do it.
Yeah, and then another guy approaching 30 that I would think they would want to bring him back. A great addition, great locker room guy, DJ Reader at defensive tackle. And Tupou's also a free agent. So, I mean, I don't know what's on the market, and it looks very thin. We talked about Sweat for the run stuffing kind of guy, and Reader can do more than that. But what are your thoughts on DJ Reader? Do you think he'll be ready for the start of the season? I know he's doing some rehab there at the facility, but, I mean, big guys and coming off injuries can be tough.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough call. It's going to be close, not a tough call. It's going to be a close call, I think. It's not a tough call. They want him back. How could you not want him back,
Yeah.
How much he'll be ready to go when? I mean, he's DJ Reader. He's, he'll be there he'll be there. If he's not there when the bell goes off, it'll be close. So, the other thing is, you need some depth there. And Tupou, he's been a quiet, very solid guy for them down through the years. So I would think they want to get him back because there's just no depth in it. They got, it's after Reader and Josh. There's, they're the anchor. There's really no anchorish kind of guy there.
Yeah. Well, when Larry Ogunjobi left, I just felt like they never replaced him because B.J. Hill and Larry Ogunjobi, that was a great 1-2 punch right there. Do you see anybody in free agency that could pair up with B.J. Hill or anything? I could see
more of a draft.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'd see a bunch of guys. I mean, but I don't know. Like I say, you can say, "Oh, I like that guy, but how much is he going to be? How much is he going to cost? I mean, I don't think anybody saw them signing Reader. I mean, Reader came about because they were actually looking at linebackers, and the linebackers came out hot, and they were expensive. And they said, well, hell, if we're if people if we're going to pay that much for a linebacker, we don't want to pay that much for a linebacker, but we'll pay that, we'll pay even more for like the top, nose tackle in the league. So, I think it's on paper. They'd love to get another 3 technique to give B.J. Hill a breather now and then because B.J. Hill's played a lot of snaps, but he's also played pretty well. People were kind of, I think his production's been just as good, even though he's played a lot of snaps, pretty close to it. So, and that's another thing. I mean, with the rotation, how much is that guy going to play? Because, but I would like the Ogunjobi. It was expensive. It was an expensive, it cost them one player. It was an expensive rotation, but it sure was effective.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
And it's going to be, a question of how much they want to put into it. Are you gonna? How much are you going to give DJ? Are you going to have left? Are you going to have enough left over for that guy? I mean, if you got to replace DJ, I mean, how many D linemen can you sign? 1 or 2?
If DJ's still hurt at the beginning of the season, you think that they still try to sign him?
I think
to a deal.
Oh yeah. I don't. Okay. I mean, I think that's. I mean, I would think I would think that's a guy that they have said they'd love to have him back. So I take him at the word.
Yeah.
And they know and they better than anyone know the state of his leg. So
now Chidobe Awuzie is another guy who's been great here. Came off the injury last year. I thought he started playing really well down the stretch. I don't know if he'll be back and what the money will be, but I would love to have him back. I know DJ Turner, CTB, they've invested in the position via the draft. But at the same point in time, I think if he's not back, you're gonna want to vet corner at some point. If it's not him, somebody else probably.
Well, it's going to be somebody's going to. I think somebody's going to give Cheeto a lot of money.
I could see it. Yeah, I could see $10 million per year.
I mean, a guy was playing at a Pro Bowl level when he got hurt. So, a veteran corner. Taylor Britt's in his 3rd year. DJ's in his 2nd. I could see him going into the draft again. I think most teams do that nowadays. They try to get a corner. They've gone corner the last 2 second rounds, right? So I don't see him. Maybe they wouldn't go that high this trip, but maybe they would.
Yeah, maybe they would.
Never know.
And slot corner, especially in the 2nd or 3rd, wouldn't shock me. with Hilton coming up on the last year of his deal.
Yeah, well, I think Turner's a guy I think that could probably play in there too. And we all know Dax Hill can play in there, so
Yeah.
they got some options there.
I agree, and that's why I wouldn't rule out corner. I mean, let's just say there's a big tackle run in the first round. I'm not completely ruling out cornerback.
No,
Jeff?
I wouldn't either. I mean, I never rule out a corner or a wide receiver.
Nope.
Yeah. Ooh.
And I also think that Hilton coming up on his deal, maybe you do a position switch. You trade him at the end of 24. You trade Hilton for you make Hilton safety and Hill the slot corner or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that because in certain packages, Lou already moves
Right.
Mike into that safety
Right.
role.
But like Lou says, I mean, why move Hilton? He's the best nickel corner in the league. Don't move him. So
Yeah.
I kind of agree with him there.
You guys got anything else for Jeff?
Yeah, in free agency. How do you think this plays out? Like somebody put one of the guys that watched our show put on Twitter yesterday, like 2 big names and maybe some lower tier guys, or maybe just like we did in 21 with Karras and Kappa, and just some middle of the line guys in the free agency. Do you think there's any big name splash?
I mean, we've seen what they do. They've come out hot the last couple of free agencies, and then they make a big 1 or 2 moves, and then I think what they really do a good job at. I think Paul Dana Jr. wrote about this today. They do a great job in that second tier, guys who are really. I mean, that's your value. That's your value right there.
Yeah.
That's where you really get what you pay for, as opposed to those guys coming out hot. They're going to be, I wouldn't say they're overpaid, but those are big numbers, And I wouldn't, if you look at history, and I guess we start history in 2020, right? Because everything began with Burrow. So if you go by that, yeah, they are going to be they're going to be active at least once or twice with a big name. And then, but I think also too, and this happened in the back 10, 12 years ago when they were in that run of 5 straight playoffs, they made big free agent deals, but they were their own, and they never got credit for that. You never get credit for signing your own guys, but those are just as big deals as anything else. So, how does that fit in? They get some guys that they want back for the first time in this stretch since 20. So will that replace a big lightning strike? A lightning strike with a reader or something, and rather than a guy from another club, or will both happen? I think we're gonna. I do think we know what we've learned about these guys since 2020 is they'll make a move. I mean, they'll come out with something.
Yeah, and there'll be moves as soon as Monday hits, and that at noon is when the tampering period starts. Deals start trickling down.
Right.
I won't be surprised if we see them in that and playing in that market on the D line. I mean, a lot of positions they could go: tight end, D line, O tackle. Here's one from our buddy Santori. We kind of already talked about offensive tackle, but punter. What do you think? I mean, Brad Robbins didn't have the greatest season, but he was a rookie. Do you think they're going to look to at least bring in a competition, whether it's a veteran or in the draft?
It sounded like Darren Simmons, the special teams coordinator, was open to bringing in a veteran. That's the way it sounded. But I think also another thing. Let's kind of back off Robbins for a little bit. Let's kind of take it easy a little bit. And he didn't have the greatest year, but he didn't have the greatest. He had probably the worst possible circumstances around a debut. That might have been the toughest debut in Bengals history. 10 punts on the road on a wet field in Cleveland. Why don't you just run over his foot and get it over with? So, I don't, so, so let's see what he does. I mean, I think he'll be pushed. I think, but he's a solid kid. He's a really something. And of course, you don't get credit for this because you're a punter, so you have to be a good punter. But half the steal is holding. He had a great year holding. I know no
issues. Yeah.
Nobody walks out of a game saying, "Wow, I love the way that guy holds." But McPherson, didn't bat an eye with the operation, which is important, So yeah, I guess that's kind of a sidelight, but I just wouldn't throw away Robbins yet. And right tackle, you raise a good point. They haven't really had they've been trying to find the right tackle for a long time. They really haven't.
Right.
It was probably the last really right tackle they had for any amount of time was Andre Smith, right?
Yeah.
So, maybe now's the time.
Yeah, Mr. Hobson, I read your article today about Joseph Asai. Clearly, we all thought he was going to have a breakout year, and I totally forgot he sprained his ankle. How confident are you that he could come back and still have a good year next year?
Well, I tell you, I don't know about you guys, but every time I watch the guy play, he does something.
Yeah.
He gets to the quarterback. I mean, if he stays healthy, he could do what Trey Hendrickson did in New Orleans. Remember Trey Hendrickson he fought injury. He had 1 year he missed some time, and then that fourth year, he gets 13 and a half sacks. And he's
he hasn't stopped.
And he makes 60 million. Yeah, hasn't stopped yet. So, if you look at Osai's first 30 games, according, and I know you can make up any analytic you want or where you find it, but in Pro Football Reference, he's got 17 quarterback takedowns and 4.5 sacks in his first 30 games. Trey Hendrickson had 18 quarterback takedowns and 6.5 sacks in his first 30 games. So Joseph, if he can stay healthy, I mean, in 2022, when he was just getting over the wrist, in that 10-game winning streak, the back half of that 10-game winning streak, he was consistently one of their top pass rushers, according to Pro Football Focus. Everybody wants to talk about, the penalty on Mahomes, but he played his ass off on that game. In that game, it's probably the best game of his career.
Phenomenal in that game.
In the AFC title game. So I think the guy's got a lot of pluses. I think people have kind of forgotten about him, and I wouldn't sleep on him. He may Hendrickson has taken him under his wing, this past year, and maybe he pulls a Hendrickson and has a big breakout year.
I hope so.
In his fourth year.
Man, if he's got a good breakout year and you got Hendrickson out there, and I saw that they're possibly moving Sam inside a little bit more. I don't know what truth that bears, but if we also get like a 3-tech in the first round like Murphy or Newton, Jesus Christ, that's going to be a D-line.
Well, the Saints couldn't keep Hendrickson, so it'd be great to keep. It would be great. I tell you what, Osai, Murphy, people, Joe couldn't get back on the field after his ankle injury because, Miles Murphy, he came on. He got better as the season went. So, I think, you get a first-round pick there on the edge. Don't forget about him either.
Sky's the limit for Murphy, I think. I mean, he was a young guy coming out of college too, so his best football's ahead of him. Who may be another surprise candidate, Jeff? I won't keep you on too much longer, but who may be a surprise candidate, besides the Murphys and Osai's and the DJ Turk, the guys that have kind of played a little more, maybe a second, third-year guy.
Yeah, until he got hurt, DJ Ivy, I thought really, I don't know what, he tore his ACL late in the year.
Yeah.
How is he going to come back? But I know in the 12 or 15 snaps he took from scrimmage, I know he was running down and turning his head. It looked like he was kind of a natural out there. He's a guy I'd still keep an eye on. I keep an eye on Tyson Anderson. I mean, he's Darren Simmons raved about him. I mean, he thinks he's got a shot at, going to the Pro Bowl as a special teamer. But, they may look at him at safety too. It looks like there's going to be, a little bit of movement at safety, see what you got. So Tyson Anderson's a guy to keep an eye on. His Toledo running mate up there, Mitchell, looks like he's going to.
He looks good.
Come out big in the maybe he may be the first corner take.
Yes.
So, and then I think, offensively, I think, a guy to watch is your man number 80. Obviously, how much action does he get with if they don't have Boyd? Will they put Jamar in a little bit more often in the inside and give Yoshi a lot more snaps on the outside? But he certainly proved that he deserves it. But those guys, I think, we're talking about Ivy, Battle, obviously, and I think like the receivers, I think Yoshevich is a guy to watch, and I think Charlie. You got to keep an eye on Charlie too, because he's their punt returner, and he's going to get his hand on the ball, and I think he showed some potential there. So, I mean, I think that's because once Burrow's big deal, it kicks in next year, right?
Yeah.
So the draft, the 24, the 25, and the 26 draft classes, they're going to have to ring the bell.
I agree. And just a comment here, not necessarily a question, but our buddy Joe, always a pleasure listening to you. Been reading your stuff for at least 20 years. And I know I feel the same. Greg feels the same. I'm sure Chop feels the same.
I thank you guys very much for reading. That's poor Joe. That's 20 years he won't get back. But I appreciate you guys for reading. Believe me, and it's why I do it. And so I thank you, and I thank you guys for having me on today. It's been really fun.
Hey, you've been incredible. Tell everybody where they can find you. I mean, I think everybody knows Bengals.com at this point, but anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, can you believe that next month it's going to April 15th, it will be 24 years here. It'll be it's really the first day of the website, and I always remember as Peter Warwick Day. So that was April 15th with the 4th pick, and that was the first day at Bengals.com. And it's Twitter is, and I don't tweet much, but I do tweet links. I do tweet the links to my story. I'm sorry, it's X now. Sorry about that.
That's right.
I think we're all still allowed to call it whatever we want.
Yeah.
That's GeoffHobsoncin.
Man, and great stuff. And definitely check out everything on Bengals.com. The man is always putting out phenomenal articles. Great in press conferences, talking to these guys, talking to the draft picks when they come in after they've been drafted. Looking forward to everything you're going to put out, sir, and really appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you. You guys got a good show. Way to go, Dale. Very smooth. Way to work it.
Dale is the maestro.
Thank you so much.
There he is. Time to have a 50 West.
There you go.
Absolutely.
All right. Sounds
Thank
good.
you, Jeff.
Thank you, guys. Thanks very much. We'll do it again. Call again.
Absolutely.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Thank
See
you.
you, Jeff. Who day?
Good
day.
Well, Greg, you knocked it out of the park with that, yes, buddy.
That was just, I've read about him since, I'll never forget, like going to Bengals.com and read about him ever since like 2001 or 2. That was just, this is just so cool. It's just times like this. I'm like,
we're about to see all these views plummet, but I appreciate everybody.
Thank you so much. I just kept watching. I'm like, is this for real?
If you're one of the viewers that don't normally watch the show and you like it, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the show. That way you can see when we're on. We also have other guests, Geoff Hobson, and then
Jake Lisco yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. Had Jake Lisco yesterday, Geoff Hobson today.
Hat Monday. So Goodberries will be coming back on.
Yeah,
Brothers Goodberry.
Thank you all that's been tuning in. This is just so cool. I mean, Jeff's just such a good person and all that and stuff. I mean, this is just awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And also for everybody that doesn't know, the people that are just watching the show for the first time, on Friday, Greg dances. So you don't want to miss that.
He dances.
You don't want to miss.
We never know what he's dancing
Friday.
to. We don't even know. So
it's something just pop in my head. Who knows about this? I just go with the flow. Something could pop in my head out of nowhere. I'm like, that's what it's going to be. It could be pop. It could be rock. It could be the hamster dance. Who knows?
Yeah, that hamster dance was rough. I'm not going to lie. That one was rough.
Well, no, Trouble Woman was the roughest on me. That's why I really
rough on you, but rough to watch was the hamster dance.
No, well, yeah, okay.
Also, Greg made up his own dance back in middle school called the dot pot.
Stop.
And the only way you get to see the dot pot is here on the show.
And Marshall's here to get closer to you, Chop, so you don't have to pay extra money at the draft.
Marshall can't wait for the tailgates, and I got a hug for him. I'm waiting for that tailgate.
But
unless he's at the St. Taddie's Day, and then I can give him a hug there, or Project Game Day, I can give him a hug there.
So I want to plug two things real quick. Then we can have a little bit more discussion before we get out of here. But I want to plug the Project Game Day event, night 2 of the draft at Midwest Best Barbecue, one of our sponsors that we love to death. If you haven't tried their place and you're local to the Cincinnati area, definitely check them out. They're phenomenal. But we will have an event. Cincy Hat will be there from 5 to 7 with all their favorite hats and maybe a hat, that otherwise hasn't been out yet. Still in the process of talking that through and seeing which hat. But at 7 for the draft event, if you want to come and eat and stay for the draft out after it closed, watch the second and third round still. It's completely free to come during the Cincy Hat part. You can get takeout orders.
Right.
You can buy you a hat, whatever you want to do. There's no cost to get in. There is a cost for the draft event portion just because it's after hours. It's $30. So the $30, though, gets your meal, an appetizer. It gets your actual dinner, wings or a barbecue sandwich, sides, wings. How many wings depends on how many sides you want. You can get 10 with one side, 6 with 2 sides, or a barbecue sandwich and 2 sides, and either one beer or a fountain drink, which you can refill the whole time. So you get all of that, plus it's a built-in donation to Project Game Day. Project Game Day is just something that our buddy Matt Schultz kind of started. And the goal is to just help get adults with special needs and military veterans that otherwise might not have the means to some Bengals games this year. So there's already been a ton of money raised. Shout out to Darth Bengal for, he's in exchange for donations. So that leads me into the draft guides. So me and Santori has worked on a draft guide. I mean, I've spent months working on, honestly, over a year working on it because I've started for next year already.
That's what I was going to say. You already started next year's draft guide.
But it's going to be like 300 pages, probably close to that. So if you a $1 to $5 donation, I'm not asking for a ton of money to Project Game Day. I'm not taking a dime from that. It all goes to this charity, which is going to help get these people to games. So I'm really, with that said, if you want a draft guide, if you want some extra draft information, it gives our rankings, but it also has pros and cons of players. So it's got all kinds of stuff, very comprehensive about all these draft prospects. If you want that, just go to @Project Game Day on Venmo, which it's under business instead of personal. But for sure, it's Industries. I sent a condensed version out to the 10 people that already bought one while we're finishing up the main one. But it's been a lot of work, but I love this, man. I do this stuff anyways. I love the draft. And, hey, I'm not Mel Kiper. I'm not those guys, but I just was like, hey, I do all this stuff anyways.
No. Could be.
You could
but I watch a lot of film, and I give my thoughts, and that's it. There's guys way smarter than me. Definitely get your actual advice from them.
I honestly think that people should write down what you say and then follow that player's career. They'll see. Dale,
now
hey,
you're
look,
putting
man,
on the spot, but
look, you should take the credit, dude.
Absolutely.
You're fucking really smart when it comes to football and draft and free agency and stuff like that. You got
but I want, the fact that I was asked to be a little bit part of this charity, I want to try to help money for that charity. And I thought this is one thing I could do to help, I can't always get, I don't have tons of memorabilia that I can get. I've got these pictures and stuff, but it's like, they're not autographed or anything like some people have that are graciously like all you guys and other people, or Chop's making lamps to do as raffle. I'm just doing my
special edition lamp.
But if you want a draft guide, obviously, let me know. DM on our Bengals and Brews account. I just need an email address and just screenshot your donation. $1 is fine. If you want to give up to $5, that's fine. I'm not asking.
You can also do 20 grand.
I'm not asking for 20 grand.
We're not asking, but it does
I have
go
a personal account if you want to send 20 grand. But
it does go to charity.
But no, I appreciate all the support just in general. Whether we've sold 10 of them, or whether I sell 20 of them, or we sell 100 of them, I'm gonna be happy either way that anybody's reading it or anybody's watching our show. I never take it for granted any support we get because we're just fans like everybody else. We're just giving our opinions, trying to get some guests on, and just really trying to enjoy this life while we're in it. So I won't get sappy or emotional, but I really do appreciate everybody that supports us. So
absolutely.
Now I'm going to rip a heater and let you guys talk.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead, Greg.
Like I say, news out. We don't know for sure. Joe Mixon. Obviously, this will be a big thing coming up, and all that and stuff. We'll see what happens. But like I said, what happens or not, Joe did a great job. Like I'm just saying, Joe, what he's done for the Bengals helped us get to the Super Bowl. He's had a few good rush. He's had some good rushing seasons, phenomenal games. I mean, Joe Mixon. I'm just saying, and like I say, he could still be back here next year. But I'm just saying. Great locker room guy, has done a good job so far his time here since.
What do you make of the rumors, Greg, about Saquon Barkley? There's a lot of rumors.
But Saquon Barkley, I don't know. I'm not going to get my hopes up on that or anything. But if we got Saquon Barkley, I'll do some.
Shirt off, pants off.
No, not the pants. Stop.
You did the shirt off.
All right, tell you what, I will film myself running in the backyard, my shirt off, going, "Woo!"
All right, bet. You all heard it here first.
Yep.
Greg has to film that.
All right, no. If we make a big signing, whether it's Rankin and Barkley, well, I'll think of something.
So basically, any signing the Bengals make on Monday.
No, a big signing. Like it has to be a big signing and all that.
What I know what he could do. What's that thing where they yell like "silly fish" or whatever, and the guy flops in the water like? You ever seen that on?
I'm not doing that
on Twitter or TikTok or whatever.
I just know I'm going to get.
I have not seen that.
Look, guys.
But sure.
I just don't want to get. I don't want to get the cops calling me for disturbing the peace or anything. That's the thing. We got to make this. But I'll do something. I will do something if it's a huge signing or something.
Greg, the Madeira cops already know about you. You'll be fine.
That's true.
Yeah, you're on a watch list or two.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard.
Right. You're on that. I'm also on a watch list for all the mannequin legs I buy. I think.
But Dale. Like, so what's your take on the Joe Mixon? Like, rumored to be cut. Like, what's your take on it?
I'll believe it when I see it. Like,
me too.
He's been a valuable player and leader and all these things. $8.5 million's a lot for a running back, but if you want Saquon Barkley, you're probably going to have to give him probably $10 million. So I don't know. I like what I saw from Chase Brown. I think you can get another guy in the draft in the mid rounds.
No, exactly.
Regardless of Mixon is back or not, I've said this.
Right.
I really do think they need to be more committee. Joe Mixon was getting 75% of the snaps the whole season again.
Right.
You got to get Chase Brown involved. You got to get, if Trayvon's back, you get Trayvon more involved. If it's a draft pick, you get him more involved. Whoever. You see it all around the league. They're going to more of a committee approach. Guys with different styles, maybe you get a little more explosiveness from somebody else. But, I mean, Joe has value and a good role here. And I wish Joe nothing but the best if he's not back as a Bengal. We don't know if these reports are true.
We don't know. We don't know. But we're just saying if it is, he's had a great career here as a Bengal. But we don't know yet.
And then Hayden Hurst, which has been another topic. So what do you guys think about Hayden Hurst?
Get him back here. I will take him back here. Like I say.
If it's close to vet minimum, what are you really risking? It doesn't keep you from still signing a Noah Fant if you want or drafting somebody.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Even if it's just like Hayden Hurst, if we go to the season with Hurst, Hudson, and Sample, I am perfectly fine with that. I wouldn't even count on drafting it. Now, but like Hob said, if a tight end is there, your best player available, then yes, I still think they could draft one. But I'm just saying, if we get there's a good old song by Chop. You'll remember this. Remember the band Cinderella?
Yes.
You know that song, "Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone." Because I was for letting Hurst, because I thought we were going to get another tight end or draft one. That song occurred in my head so many times when Hayden Hurst left. Hayden, I want you back. Please come back.
I want you back, baby.
I want you back. Because like that song, "Don't Know What You Got" played in my head so many times. And Hayden Hurst, because I love that fire he brought when it was 3rd and 3. And if he was a yard too short, he would just bust right through you and all that and point first down. I want that.
Hurdle you too.
Yeah, exactly. I want that attitude back. I want him. What's that? What's that? A speech that Al Pacino said? We fight for our fingernails for that inch. That's what I want. I want that in Hayden Hurst back. I want Hayden Hurst back.
Sindustry says Hurst would be great if it doesn't mean they ignored tight end in the draft again. And even if you bring Hurst, Hudson, and Hurst is on a minimum, it means, hey, if you're really, your health's not good or whatever, and we don't feel comfortable playing you when the season's starting because you start having problems again just in practice. Hey, we're going to cut you. We love you. Nothing personal. I think it's a low-risk signing to bring him in for a vet minimum. You see guys all the time that don't make the team on vet minimums. I'm not saying he won't, but I'm just saying it's a low risk.
Well,
but as far as the draft goes, yeah, I think there's going to be some guys in the 3rd and 4th round. Ben Sinnott, Cade Stover, Theo Johnson, Jaheim Bell, Jared Wiley. That's a good list of 5 names that could be available in the 3rd and 4th round. If you can land one of those guys, they said, hey, we don't want to worry about this 1-year thing. But it's nice if you're going all in, having T on a 1-year deal to maybe have a Hayden Hurst who has the connection with Joe, and you got Hudson back and Sample. Now your tight end room looks pretty good for the present and the future if you add in one of these guys in the mid rounds in the draft.
Right. Totally agree, Dale.
Oh, yeah. And also, not just that, but Geoff was talking, the cap hit for Joe doesn't hit till next year. So this is really a year to go out and get some 1-year deals and go in and see what we can do.
Yeah, and we saw the Texans, man, so many deals that they signed that became such valuable players. Rankins that we're talking about again. Schultz that they just signed to another extension. They brought these guys in on 1-year deals. Good, solid veterans.
Oh, Schultz got paid, though, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he got 3 years, $36 million.
Yeah.
Without breaking down the details of the deal because I don't think they're completely out yet per year. And
23 guaranteed, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But you know what? I read somewhere people thought he got overpaid. No, he's like the 12th highest paid tight end. That's right where he got paid. He got paid. Yeah. He got paid very fairly. But Dale, you made the right point. Just a huge list of guys because they're like, what do we got to lose here? We have a rookie quarterback coming in. Let's get some vets around, and it all paid off. It paid off and it worked perfectly. Yeah. And, that's what I like. That's what I say we do. Get me a bunch of those vets you could sign on 1-year deals, and just see what happens.
And a big one too.
Because they always say bargain bin shopping, this, that, and the other. Oh, that's all you're doing. It's not. People could have said that when we brought in Cheeto and we brought in Hilton because everybody wanted us to bring back William Jackson III. When we needed to improve the line, we added Karras and Kappa. And these guys, we got them early, but we didn't pay them top of the market money for their positions. You can attack what you think you need. And maybe there's 1-year deals, 2-year deals, or 3 or 4, depending on the age of some of these guys. But I think everything should be on the table. The Super Bowl's in New Orleans. We want to win it, right? Joe wants to win it.
It's our destiny.
Joe's big money hits next year. Go out and spend that money. You've got an opportunity.
Chop, tell all the viewers right now. You've called this for how long?
It's the destiny year, man. I've been saying this since before last season that this year is our destiny year. Joe Burrow does not lose in New Orleans. He goes there and wins national championships, and he's going to do it again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say,
speaking of songs, Greg, that's Joe Burrow's song. Can't stop me now. It's Queen. Yeah,
this is why we make $0 million doing this show, by the way, because we can't help but sing and do stuff.
Can't stop.
By the way, another safety update. Jordan Poyer, he got released. I mean, we have so many options.
Jordan Poyer brings a hot ass wife to the table.
But
man,
also
they're out there on social media, man. She's hot.
Yeah, and Hobson made a good point. He had Dax Hill. I mean, we all saw that he struggled a bit, but Hobson made a great point. He still had a better rookie season than Jesse Bates did. I agree. Do give him time. I still think they're going to go out and find a safety, but Hobson did make a great point. You got to give him more time out there at times. I still think they should sign a safety, but I do agree partially with what he said. What about you, Dale?
I wasn't listening.
I was. I just think that last year was Dak's first year.
Exactly.
I mean, the year before that, he really didn't play that many snaps. So last year was his first year really playing that role. So you can't really make it. Yeah, we want better play out of him or better play out of that position, but maybe better play out of that position is Dax Hill himself.
Yeah, but I mean, still, you can use 3 guys.
Right.
When Jordan Battle took over, Nick Scott. To me, it's letting go of Nick Scott and bringing in a better veteran. That
Yes.
way, if you want to move Dax around, you want to move Hilton around, and God forbid there's an injury because it's the NFL and they happen all the time. You have depth. We need depth. I mean, injuries happen all across the league. It's not just the Bengals, but you need to be prepared with good quality depth.
Well, to add on to your point, Ricardo Allen was a great veteran leader on the team, played in the Super Bowl. He was a great depth piece to have behind Bates and Bell. He brought that good veteran leadership. So you made a good point with that right there. Give me someone, even if he's not starting, give me a veteran presence on the team.
Someone messed up, and instead of sending $1, I just got a notification from Cincy James as Marshall Loftus.
Is that Marshall? Is that Big Marshall?
Sent $100 for the draft guide. Buddy, you
I don't know.
Put $1. You put 2 zeros in there.
He probably
Tim would have been overpaying.
He's giving money to charity.
I just want to make sure you meant to do that because that is crazy. But yeah, this person's right here as well. 0 require him VGV. I probably screwed that up.
Move, Gov.
But the Bills are cutting everybody. They cut Morris.
Big Marshall, man, sent the $100. We appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow, you just made it worth all the time I spent doing that.
You're going to get a hug and maybe even I'll grab that right ass cheek. You might get a right ass cheek grab now,
Big Marshall. Both cheeks from Pork Chop.
You don't know what you buy.
Wow.
Coming in there. I'm going to grab that little ass cheek. Oh, he put another yes even after that one. There's 2 yeses, so he's all for it.
That's how he's making me feel. Yes. Thank you, buddy.
Wouldn't be the first time I give him men stiffy.
I really do appreciate it. I mean, that's...
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
You literally made that worth all the time I spent just doing that. So this, I was getting emotional earlier. I'm just going to continue.
It's cool.
So, I was kind of lost there for a couple years after my dad died.
Yeah.
5 years ago. And this show, been doing it for 2 or 3 years. And the friendships I've made along the way has really helped. And then Mom got sick and she passed away while I was doing this show. And just a lot of things of you guys and the people in the chat that's honestly, helped me get through some tough times. And I really do, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate that. I really do. And I don't want to get too soft after that. So unless Greg's going to give us the dance, then I'm probably going to end this one. Greg, you want to give the people a dance?
You know what?
We've had 3 guests. All right, Greg's giving a dance.
It's a Friday preview. This doesn't get out to Friday, though.
Like a slight dance.
You know what? With the viewers here, just give me a minute.
Be prepared to be dazzled.
Yeah, I love it too, man. That's awesome. And we'll keep, doing shows a few a week, especially free agency starting. We'll go back to 3 a week. And I really appreciate the support we get from everybody that tunes in, man. Matt saying, yeah. And that's what it's about, man. I've gained so many quality friendships. And I hate being vulnerable on camera. I've tried to get away from it. I used to do it a lot more. It's just I don't want to be that guy, But at the same point in time, I think it's okay to have emotions.
Yeah, it is.
I love you too, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm glad Greg finally sent your gift card that you won too.
Yeah, thank you.
It only took him 2 or 3 weeks, but
are you going to get them chicken wings tonight, Matt? I would. God dang, man. Midwest has got.
No, he's got the 50. It's a 50 West.
50 West.
I think
we'll go down there
and have some Midwest ones as giveaways too.
They got burgers down there that are named after different states. So I went down there. I just got the plain old deluxe. I like to judge a hamburger on a deluxe cheeseburger, and their burgers are good.
It's industrial.
Greg is in love with the fry sauce. It's also tasty.
The show is as good as when my dad would yell, "F you, Merlin Olsen." That's TV. Love it. Man, Greg must be getting really prepped up.
He must be putting on one hell of an outfit.
I was going to say, or just pants in general, because we all know he had such a grin on his face that whole time when Austin was on. I don't think he had pants on.
No.
I wasn't
Yeah.
going to say that to Geoff Hobson, though, because, I mean, we'd like to have the guy back
I
on.
think Geoff probably knew. He was probably like, I bet that guy with the glasses doesn't have any pants on.
And where's his hand at this whole time?
I've been seeing his hands this whole time.
He's kind of setting like this and smiling a lot.
Right. Geoff Hobson's like, it reminds me of the time I was a counselor at church camp and I caught a kid whacking off
Oh my
on the
gosh,
bottom
that
bunk.
was Greg. That was Greg. Oh,
Yeah.
we're not allowed to tell those stories on air that we've heard off air from Greg.
Oh,
You don't know. No one on this show has ever rubbed on a piece of wood in a bathroom because
I
they couldn't
have.
go 3 weeks at a church camp.
What
Which
about-
3 weeks at a church camp? is
What
a lot
about
of time there.
the hot tub with the blower?
Hey, what are you guys saying?
No, nothing, Greg.
What
Oh,
are you
he's
talking
back.
about, Greg?
Now he's back.
We're waiting for you to dance. We're asking
We
if you
said
got
none
your
of us have
on.
done
This
that.
is, I'm going not late 90s here when I was in high school. There's really not a dance. It's more of like a singing and all that. My singing's terrible, but who cares? This is Semi-Charmed Light by Third Eye Blind.
Oh,
Here we
this-
go. But, no,
You're not going to understand a word he says for this song. All right.
but no, I got lyrics on here. Here we go.
It is his dancing
Live with
out.
me. Says she lives to me. Mission, her own motivation. She comes around and she goes down. I mean, I look for you. Do you ever I'm in the view? Keep on smiling. We're going through one stop to the rhythm that divides you. And I speak to you like the Steelers chopper. Come on, like a freak show takes the stage. We give them say, I want something else.
There we go.
Get me through this.
Woo!
Semi-trap kind of life. Baby,
baby.
I want something else. I
Woo!
want to miss you when you say goodbye. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do.
Is that the dot line?
Here.
He put
Yeah,
the
the
dot
dot
line
line.
in. That's the put the dot line. That's the dot line.
Don't.
I know that dance.
I wish I could knock it back. Doing crystal meth was the show. Crystal meth in this. Bumped up. I took
Maybe you should do the English version.
How do I get back to the place where I fell asleep inside you? I look at this. He said, I want something else to get me through this.
Woo!
Semi-trap kind of life. Baby, I want something else. This is you when you say goodbye. I believe in the sand beneath my toes. The peach
Still going. That would have been a good place to end it when he did the
believe in the
goodbye.
great big roads. And
I
the
can't
four.
stop it. I can't.
Okay, that's it.
All right.
That's it.
Oh,
All right. Do one more time where you sing the part where it goes, but goodbye.
Good.
Good.
Love you all. Who